Alright guys, welcome back. In today's session, we're going to walk through a real-world scenario that many automotive locksmiths will face. And this one is especially useful if you ever find yourself working on a Ford Focus, particularly from around 2012. Now, in the previous video, we talked about how to pick and decode a lock using the Lishi tool. We covered how to insert the tool, feel for the wafers, decode each position, and generate a key based on your readings. It's a powerful method when it works. But what happens when it doesn't? Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore today. Imagine the situation. A customer comes to you with a 2012 Ford Focus. They've lost all their keys. They're locked out and they need a new key made. You arrive on site, grab your Lishi tool, insert it into the door lock, and for one reason or another, it fails to decode the lock. The readings don't make sense, or you can't feel the wafers correctly, or maybe the tool doesn't even fit smoothly. This happens more often than you think. So what do? Today, I'm going to teach you an alternative method, one that works when your decoding tools fail. We'll go over how to remove the lock, dismantle it, decode the wafers manually, and get the key cuts using the physical components inside the lock. Now, before we jump in, I need to be clear. This method is not for everyone. You should only attempt this if you're already confident in your ability to remove and reassemble door locks. If you're unsure or still learning, it's better to skip the job or practice on a spare lock first. Because if you damage the door, break a retainer, or lose the wafers, you'll risk leaving the customer in a worse situation than before. That said, if you're ready, let's walk through the correct process. Instead of working on the main door, I recommend removing the trunk lock. Why? Because if anything goes wrong, the main doors won't be affected, and you avoid interfering with central locking systems or causing unnecessary damage to the driver's side handle. Now let's assume you've removed the trunk lock from the vehicle. We'll place it on a stable surface, your bench, table, or wherever you're working. This particular lock, like most Ford Focus locks, uses an HU101 keyway, and that means it has 10 wafer positions. 5 wafers are placed on one side of the plug, and 5 are on the other, alternating in position. Your job is to keep track of all 10 as you disassemble and decode. First, identify the retaining pin or clip that holds the lock cylinder in place. In this model, there's a small pin at the side of the housing. You'll need to gently tap or pry it loose using a soft tool. Don't hammer aggressively. Once the pin is out, the cylinder should slide out freely. Important reminder, be extremely careful when removing the plug. If you pull too quickly or tilt it too far, the wafers, which are spring-loaded, might shoot out, fall on the ground, or get mixed up. And if that happens, decoding becomes much harder and reassembly might fail. Now, place the lock plug flat on the table and keep it in the exact orientation it was removed in. This helps maintain the original sequence of wafers. Let's decode. As mentioned, the HU101 has 10 positions. These are labeled from 1 to 10, starting from the tip of the key going inward. You'll lay the wafers out in order as you remove them. Start with the first side. Remove wafers 1 and 2. Flip to the other side for wafers 3 and 4. Alternate again for 5 and 6. Continue all the way to wafers 9 and 10. Be very deliberate here. Place each wafer in exact order, face up, so you can see the number stamped into the side. Yes, the wafer itself will have the key code number stamped into it. This number represents the cut depth needed for that position. So, for example, if you remove wafer 1 and see the number 2 stamped on the side, that means cut position 1 on the key will be depth 2. Now, get a piece of paper and create a decoding chart. Write down positions 1 through 10 in a row, and as you decode each wafer, write the corresponding cut number next to it. For example, 1 to 2, 2 to 2, 3 to 3, 4 to 1, 10-3, etc. You now have a complete key cut chart for this lock. From here, you can go straight to your key cutter and input those numbers. Use either a mechanical or electronic cutting machine, whichever you normally use for high security keys. Let's talk about reassembly. Once you've finished decoding, it's time to reinstall all the wafers. Again, keep them in the same exact order and side they were removed from. Right wafers on the right, left wafers on the left. Springs in place. No switching orientation. Slide them into the lock plug gently, ensuring they sit flush and spring freely. Once complete, you can reinsert the plug into the housing, reattach the retaining pin, and test that the plug rotates cleanly. If the key is cut correctly and the wafers were reinstalled properly, the lock will turn without resistance. You're now ready to reinstall it in the car and program the key as usual. Let's summarize the key points for this method. 1. Only use this method if the Lishi tool fails or the code is unreadable. 2. Remove the trunk lock, not the door if possible. It's safer. 3rd. Handle the wafers with extreme care and do not mix the order. 4. Write down the cut numbers clearly as you decode. 5. Reinstall wafers in their original position and orientation. 6. Cut the key based on decoded numbers and test it. And lastly, don't attempt this on a live job unless you've practiced first. Get a few spare locks, open them up, decode, reassemble, and build your confidence. That way, when you're on a real job, you'll be fast, accurate, and professional. Thanks for watching. I hope this breakdown helped you understand what to do when Lishi fails, and how you can still get the job done using solid mechanical skills. If you found this helpful, keep practicing and stay tuned for more real-world locksmith scenarios. See you in the next one.